All right, good morning, everybody. So happy Sunday morning, and we're going to take a look at, in the wrong file over here. Let me just go to, okay. So we're going to take a look at day 6 today of Advent of Code, which turned out to be a pretty quick one, at least for me. It seems that these are a little bit quicker than in past years, but it also could just be that there are different styles of questions, and sometimes you just hit on them. But I'm not complaining. I'm still having fun with this. But before we do that, I want to take a look at. I want to go back to day 5 a little bit. So let me just quickly change the view. And so we're back here on day 5. And when I did day 5, I was just kind of going through. I split it up. I went through it and everything. And I don't know why it's asking me that. Let me get to the right buffer here. I know you don't have the okay. So anyway, yeah, sorry, I just was changing buffers for Emacs, which I'll bring onto the screen in a second. But basically, I wasn't thinking about this, and there were a couple of things I wasn't thinking about. One of the things that I wasn't thinking about is I had an if statement to convert my I went through the strings. Like you'd have define a seat, and let's just define a seat to be let's just grab the demo seat over here. And I know I'm copying this to Emacs. I'll bring up Emacs in a second. In fact, let's do that. So basically, we just have our demo, our seat here. So we just have our seat over here, and I kind of went through it one at a time, and I had an if statement, and one of the things, this was pointed out in the comment, and I'm like, God, that's stupid. I should have thought of that. Is you could just do a substitution. So a nice thing is, let's make our values, and we know that B is going to be a 1, and F is going to be a 0. We'll just code it in ones and zeros, and R is going to be a 1, and an L is going to be a 0. If we type this right. And what we can do is we can just map get from vowels whatever the entry is on our seat. And that's pretty much that. So that's going to turn it into the ones and zeros, so then I don't have to have this if statement, and I can put anything I want in there. But the other thing then that that a lot of people noticed, and I finally saw it myself, is this is just a binary number. It's not even a crazy encoding, because the left, right, left, these are 0, the ones, the 2s, the 4s. Those are the, and then the rest is the rest of the number. It literally is the binary number. So all you have to do is, if you replace these here, if you replace the B's with 1s, the F's with 0s, etc. But the only thing is, we do still have to reverse this, at least the way I'm writing it here. And we do have to reverse it because it's this is still the least significant part over here. So we still do have to do this. And what we're going to do here is we'll then do the map, which is fine. And I'll just define that to seat int for the time being. And so that's our seat as a bunch of integers. And what we can do then is let's just do a quick exponent a to the b will just be reduced times repeat BA. And this is stuff we had in our code yesterday, so we don't have to really stress over it, but like 2 to the A or 2 to the 5th is 32. Great. So now we can just very simply, what is we're going to do? We're going to, we have the seat index, so what did we want to do? We're going to map indexed, and this, we're just going to loop over all the loops in the index. And we're going to multiply either a 1 or a 0 by that place. So if it's a 1, it's going to get that place number. And if it's a 0, it's not of seedent. And that's going to be, those are the places where we have our 1s in there, our values in there. And then we can just reduce as A plus, and we have our answer. So basically, if it's much simpler than I really overcomplicated it, and I felt kind of silly, but hey, the question was set up not to mislead, but to kind of set up a scenario, and this is a good lesson in pulling back and seeing what's what. So another thing, and I didn't think about this also, is you can actually use the Clojure reader on this, because if you then convert, I just did this conversion over here to not that, like this, to manually convert a list of 1s and 0s into base 2 by doing all the multiplies. But we can just use the power of Clojure to read it. If we put it back into a string, in Clojure, for example, we can say, the string, that's just a string, but if we say base 2, that'll read a base 2 string and convert it, or, whatever, base 16, whatever. And we could use the Clojure reader, and I'm just going to type in, oops. Now, it doesn't matter what it is, but, whatever, 10111011, whatever, and it'll do the conversion for us. So this becomes even easier if we use the Clojure reader, which I didn't think about. All right, so let me just switch again. So now let's take a look at day 6. All right, and day 6 is really should be a pretty straightforward one. So let me get to the problem. And basically, you should read through it, but the first part of it basically is saying, look, these are all the answers to your questions. So this person answered yes to A, B, C, and X. This person answered yes to A, B, C, and Y, and this person answered A, B, C, and Z. Yes for each of those. And in here, this is your data input, or the sample data input. So this is a group of 1 person who answered yes to A, B, C, and then the 2 new lines to split it. And then this is a group of 3 people where 1 person answered A, 1 person answered B, and 1 person answered C. 2 people, 1 answered A, B, 1 answered A, C, etc. And so the question is, for each group, count the number of questions to which anyone answered yes, and then sum it up. So let's take care of that. Let's look at that. So let me switch back to Emacs. And this is the same file as before, but I just I cleared out stuff from it. I erased the other code. And so we're going to do our usual. And what are we going to do? We're going to define our data, and it's going to be sample06.dat because that's sample data. And we're going to do our IO resource, and then slurp. And let's just test this first. And there we have it. But we want to split this on the double new lines. Okay, so now data now has the first person is that A, the first one, that first group is the ABC, and the next group is the 3 people, A, B, C, then there's the ABAC group, etc. So what we want to do is we want to figure out, or let me just put the data here. And what we want to do is for each group, it's saying all the ones that are yes, which are basically all of the letters in each set Yeah, and that's about it. Yeah, so it's just set operations, but you do have to be careful about those new lines. So it's actually pretty easy. So what we're going to do is let's just say, let's define a function for a single person. And what we're going to do is first we're going to replace in that string the new line with nothing. And we're going to test this as we go along. And I always do this because I keep going between Python for one of my classes. I'm teaching classes in Python and C++, and then here in Clojure. So I always do the def instead of the def n, and I'm just do the Clojure for hobby stuff. So we're going to run the function f, and let's run it on we'll just run on the first of data. And that takes out the new lines. Well, the next thing we want to do is let's put it into a set. And we've got a little bit of an issue there. Not into a dictionary, into a set. That's the set notation. And so that's ABC, and that would remove any duplicates if we wanted to. And then very simply, we want the count. How many are there? And there are 3. So to get to the first part of this, we're just going to map f onto our data, and we get 33311, which is, if we went back to, well, we can do that there. We see over here, make it a little bit bigger. 33311. So that's indeed what we're looking for. Those are the counts. And we can just do apply a plus, and that gives us our sum. And so it looks like we're done with this. So all we have to do is do this for day 6, and we have our answer. So that was actually rather straightforward and easy to do. I'm going to switch back to the sample for part 2. And for part 2 of this, now it's saying we're looking for, we wanted questions to which everyone answers yes. And so the idea here is, here it's one person, and that everything is yes. So ABC. That's so all 3. In the second group, it's nothing because each one answered a different question, and that's confirmed here. In the third one, they all answered yes. They both answered yes to A, but one to B, one to C. So it's a little bit different. The nice thing about this, though, is these are set operations. Basically, we can use set intersection to see on this family, let's say, to see if, excuse me, to see if, A, B, and AC, which ones overlap, if we put AB into a set and then AC into a set. So let's see how we can code this one up. So let's do this a set at a time. Let's say we're going to want to take a family. So let's look at, I think second data would be a good one to do. Well, actually, let me reread the data. Let's look at get data 2. That's the third one. I think that's the one we want. Yes, A, B, and AC. So that's what we'll do for our test. So what we can do here is we're going to want to take our data, and now it has the new lines. If we just look at one individual data. So what we can do here is we can split. Let's just do get data 2. I got something going on where it keeps bringing this up. I got other buffers. Stir split lines. It's just get data to. That's who we want to split. All right, so now we've got our AB and our AC. So what we want to do here is we want to then, for each of those items, we want to put them into a set. And that's a little bit of a mistake. What I want to use is I want to into. And so now we have, we basically have A, B, and AC both into sets. And what we really want to do is we want to find the set intersection of those. And if I come up to the top, you'll see that, that's under the set. I have to require set, which automatically happened. And it shows here my set intersection. Is that right? That shouldn't be right. Let's get rid of that for a second. Okay, that's correct. And let's just look at this manually. Intersection AB, AC. And that's just A. So this, oh, well, this is going to map to a, list of these items, right? That's why it didn't work. It wasn't just the two items, it was a list. So what I could do is, since we're going to have more anyway, we can reduce it using set intersection. And what that'll do is that will apply set intersection to the first item in the list, which will be the AC, and the second, which is AB, give us the A. And then if there are more, it'll keep applying. So that's indeed just A. So that's going to be the way we process a single family, or a single group. So let's just write that as process group of G. And instead of get data to, we're just going to pass in G. And then we can very simply map process group onto my data. And that's going to give me my sets. ABC for the first one, which we saw before was correct. That was one person. The next has nothing because each person voted someone different. The third one was just the A, which we talked about. And then the one after that, it's 4 people each who voted A. So that's correct, etc. So we're going to do a count of these. Or we don't want to do a count of these. We want to map count of these. 3, 0, 1, 1, 1. And then we can reduce it with a plus. And that is 6, which is indeed what we should have for this. Now what we have to do is make sure this works for the actual data. So we'll do that. And that actually is the answer. Or at least my answer, since we all have different data sets. So anyway, that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. Well, it's pretty straightforward if you're comfortable with set operations. And again, I'm loving the whole Clojure thing of this interactive development using the CIDR environment. But so that's it for day 6. As we plug along, probably will not do a video tomorrow because I try to do the problems in the morning. When I wake up, it's already too late for the leaderboard. Not that I'm fast anyway. But I teach classes all morning on Mondays, and so I'm probably not going to even really look at whatever the problem is until at least noon, and then I've got other things to do, but we'll see. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this, and have a great rest of the day.